So this is a quick overview of the QNAP TS453A NAS. So as you can see, this NAS has supports 4 different drives. These are SATA drives. Doesn't have a lock, but it does have a easy, I guess, pull out and mechanism where you can kind of take the drive out. Does support 2.5 as well as the standard desktop drive, SATA connection. It's got the hose so you know where screws to put in for the laptop 2.5 drive. Goes in as such. As I said, supports up to 4 drive. You can run internal support, different RAID types. Locks in like that. Has a front USB 3 copy port, so I guess you can put in a USB thumb drive, hit the copy, and it'll copy the content onto the NAS. Also has a power button up front, which is great. I hate power button where it's in the back. You got to reach in the back and fiddle and look for the power button. So that's great. We're going to go look at the back in a sec, but before that I want to show you the power brick. This is the standard power brick that comes with it. Has a proprietary, or maybe this is a standard AC plug, but in terms of power, this is a standard power cable that can get that comes with your computer, whatever. It does come with one. I just don't have it here with me. I'm going to show you the back. I'm going to turn this puppy around. One thing I do like about this is the form factor is actually quite small in terms of taking up real estate in your network cabinet, but it is meant for small home use rather than if you had a business, you probably want more than the 4 drive up there. This one in particular, the 453A, is targeted for media consumers. One obvious reason for that is, as you can see, this is not just a standard NAS with the Ethernet and USB port. So it does have 4 Ethernet ports, so these are 4 gigabyte Ethernet ports, which is great. So you can put in 4 gigabits connections in here, which will improve your throughput if you've got a lot of users. What I have is I have a switch, multi-port switch that I have set up, and I just connect 4 cables here. And as you can see, using the internal monitoring software, you can see the throughput across each of these network ports. So that's pretty neat. Again, USB 3 port. There's 3 in the back, 1 in the front. These are actually quite nice. It does internally, it does support some USB devices other than just the standard thumb drive or desktop or network drive. It does support other USB devices. So one example I wanted to highlight is instead of using the analog audio out, at one time I was using the USB DAC, external DAC, and I was running the audio through the USB DAC through my home audio system. So I definitely improved the sound quality overall. The other thing I want to mention is does have HDMI port. So earlier on I mentioned this is meant for media consumers. As you can see, HDMI port is typically not standard on NAS, especially your enterprise type NAS. So this one is meant so you can connect directly to your TV and you can output media such as your movies or even your home videos, and it also plays photos and audio both through the analog out, the audio come out, or the USB, as I mentioned earlier, USB DAC, or pass through HDMI to your receiver that can decode the different codecs. One last thing I wanted to highlight, it does have additional these 2 ports. And then many of you will be asking what are those 2 ports for. So those 2 ports in particular are for mic input, right? So this model in particular does support the QNAP karaoke software, which is the Ocean KTV. The software itself it's got quite a bit of room for improvement, but for those of you who want all-in-one type system where you don't necessarily need that capability on a regular basis, but you want to use it every now and then, the functionality is there. I have tried it. Like I said, software is a little quirky, needs some work. One downside of these mic inputs is any audio that comes across, it seems digitized. So it's not quite analog as if you go into like a karaoke pub. You'll notice its quality is much better in those places. It doesn't sound robotic, if that's the right way to describe it. The voice just doesn't come through as naturally as it should. That's it. That's the overview. I just went through the front, the back, and basic functionality. I would love to go into more in-depth later on and make some other videos, but just for now, I just wanted to share over my experience with this unit. It's quite nice. Does support mostly everything I want it to do. There are some quirks, as I mentioned, to the software, but compared to some other competitors like Synology, which is more plain vanilla type NAS, I think that those tend to have less functionality, but in the reliability standpoint, the software may be more robust for those Synology versus QNAP. So I think you would pick this up if you want the additional functionality, such as the HDMI, the karaoke function, the mic in, right? I'm not sure the Synology supports USB devices such as the external DAC, so that's also a plus. One other question I think I want to answer is these HDMIs are not actually HDMI 2.0 ports, right? These are, I think, 1.4. So for those of you that want and want to output 4K, it does support 4K. So in particular, if you look at the front here, the label says 4K HDMI output and transcoding. So it does have does support that, but the 4K that's being output here is 4K at 30 instead of 60. Hertz. So that's something to be considered if you're one of those, you gotta have the best and highest support. The QNAP currently does not support 4K 60 Hertz. That's it. Hope that helps everyone who is thinking about getting a QNAP. There are other devices. There's the 2-port version, and I think there's a 6 and 8-port version, all with same functionality, right? So it's the 256, 456, 656, and the 853A. So, all right, that's it. Thanks for watching.